Manchester was a music and cultural scene that developed in the late 1980s and 90s, in which Manchester artists merged rock with acid house and psychedelic pop. Popularised by the British music press, it catapulted local bands to national and international success, such as the Happy Mondays, the Stone Roses, the Charlatans and Oasis, amongst many others. Manchester had a massive cultural effect on the city, particularly with Manchester's nightlife and the subsequent development of the gay village and Northern Quarter. To find out a bit more, I headed to the iconic Vinyl Exchange record shop in the city's vibrant Northern Quarter.
What was it that really sort of sparked the nation's imagination and made it so popular?
Well, I think it's already has a rich heritage already, going right back to punk with things like Buzzcocks, Joy Division and so on. So I think it was always there, but I think it faded out for a while. And I think what brought it back into the consciousness was when Stone Roses' debut came out in '89, and the London press had finally kind of got hold of a band that had already been big up here for a while and were already in the north. Once that started, then it was just floodgates, you know. Every major label came up north to try and sign a northern band.
What are some of the most sort of famous Manchester bands from, the 70s, 80s and 90s?
Well, I mean, you've got like I said before, the Buzzcocks and Joy Division, New Order, and then later on the Smiths. Obviously they were pretty seismic in the way of influencing people.
I'm a big Smiths fan as well.
And it wasn't much of a step. Once you've got that Johnny Marr jangly guitar thing going on, it wasn't too much of a step for other bands like Stone Roses to come along. Oasis came back in 93, 94, 95 when they were super huge by 95. I think once again the press were already starting to say, oh, guitar music's over, this whole Manchester thing's dying off. And sure enough, along come Oasis doing fairly, really catchy but fairly basic guitar music, but somehow it became absolutely stratospherically huge, and it became far bigger and far more successful than the Smiths or the Roses and the Happy Mondays and all of that were first time round. So it's surprising that only sort of 5 years after that all happened the first time, suddenly there's this massive Manchester band.
Happens again, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it still happening?
I think to a degree, not so much on the bigger scale. I don't think it can ever come back in that massive sense in terms of record sales and in terms of things like that. I think that Britpop was probably the last gasp of that kind of industry of huge mega selling albums and huge mega selling tours. But there's a lot of young talent around in Manchester right now, and that's never gone away.
Do you find younger people are still coming in and buying vinyl of Oasis, of Stone Roses, of those famous Manchester bands?
They do, yeah, and it makes me feel very old. Yeah, basically, it's good to see that there's a new generation also buying the kind of heritage acts as they are now, I guess, in Manchester. They're also buying the new stuff, of course, but what's been nice is in the last few years we've seen a lot of young people buying records again, and for a while the kind of Britpop thing was pretty much CD driven rather than vinyl, and it's come back round again now. Vinyl sales are much better than CD sales actually, and we're on the back of that we're noticing a lot of younger people in the shop, whereas maybe sort of 5-10 years ago it was kind of people of my age or older that were going to shops like this, and there is a new generation coming and buying music.
Brilliant. All right, well, look, lovely to chat to you, Richard.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. I'm going to go and have a look at some of the vinyl.
Okay.
That's all right.
Okay.
And I might buy a few.
At the height of Manchester in 1990, the University of Manchester was the most sought-after destination for university applicants in the whole of the UK.
One of the more recent Manchester bands to gain prominence is, of course, Elbow. You may know them from hits like One Day Like This or The Bones of You. These guys are really cool, Manchester-based. They even have their own beer from a brewery here in Manchester. And these guys are definitely worth checking out.
It's both exciting and reassuring that in some way Manchester is still alive and well in the city today, especially with live music and the youth of the city continuing that young cultural vibe. Well, I've been Josh, this has been Glimpsed. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again.
Twisting my melon, man.